Today's episode of Big Goal Energy is coming to you from a question that I got on TikTok. First of all, if you have not yet connected with me on TikTok, you can find me at Bree Seeley. There was a video I recorded several months ago walking from my home to my shed on my morning commute. And what the video said was, if you truly want to defy reality, if you want to take these big goals that you have and you want to bring them to life, the first step, and one of probably the biggest mistakes that I see with people, is that they keep making decisions the way they've made decisions in the past. Now, if you want a new reality, you have to start making decisions aligned with that reality, not aligned with your current reality. So I said, if you want a new reality, you have to start making decisions as your future self would make decisions, not as your present self would make decisions. And someone commented and said, can you give us an example of that? I would absolutely love to give you an example of that. And that is what today's podcast episode is about. So, first things first, welcome to Big Goal Energy. I'm Bree Seeley. I am an impossible dreams catalyst, a cheerleader for women to make more money in the world, and a fierce believer that your big goal is inevitable for you. Welcome to Big Goal Energy.
I can tell you've got big goal energy. Are you ready to turn your wildest dreams into your everyday reality? You are in the right place. Welcome to Big Goal Energy, the podcast that helps you turn your audacious and delusional dreams into your everyday life. We know that you don't settle for the ordinary, that you have dreams which others may deem unrealistic. But here, we help you defy reality and bring those dreams to life. Each episode of Big Goal Energy empowers you with knowledge, inspiration, and mentorship to conquer your most unrealistic goals. From transparent roundtable conversations to short-form episodes, you'll hear the experiences of women who have defied reality, as well as learn practical tips and strategies to fuel your journey. Join us by subscribing to Big Goal Energy, and together we'll turn your audacious dreams into remarkable achievements.
All right. So what does it mean to make decisions aligned with your future rather than making decisions aligned with your present? Let's rewind. Let's go back to 2016. I had been in my business at that point, a little over a year. And at the beginning of that year, I had been unable to pay my rent. I had taken 9 months to start building this business. It was taking longer than I thought it was going to take. I used all of my retirement funds. I invested everything into this business. And 9 months later, I could not pay my rent. If you've read my book, Permission to Leap, or if you've heard my story anywhere at all, I went from being unable to pay my rent on January 1st to having my first 5-figure month. I did $15,000 in sales that January. Now, fast forward to that June. I did $50,000 in sales that June. I had known for a while the apartment I moved into when I first moved to LA, which had been March 2013. We're now talking about June, July 2016. The apartment that I moved into in 2013, I was a radically different person when I chose to live in that apartment. First of all, I had a roommate who was helping me pay the bills. I was brand new to LA. I had no idea how things were going to work, how I was going to make it in LA. I was driving a car that I had been driving since 2007. I technically at that point still had a day job that I was working 10 hours a week that I fucking hated. So you can see how some of the things about my life were very different in 2013 when I made the decision to step into that apartment. Now, living in that apartment, I learned a few things. First things first, it had cockroaches basically from the day that we moved in. Now, luckily, they were little ones, and I found this amazing topical gel that pretty much took care of them, but periodically they would come back. I'm assuming my neighbors also had cockroaches. When you live in a big city, it is just something that happens. Even in my apartment that I'm about to tell you about that I moved into, cockroaches would sneak in through the cracks in the windows off the street. When you live in a big city, it's just something you deal with. Hell, even in Tulsa, I see cockroaches here all the time. Haven't they said that when the apocalypse happens, like cockroaches are going to be the only thing that survives? It is what it is, right? So here I am living in this place in LA, moved in 2013, realized there's cockroaches. Over the course of my 3 years living there, the elevator started being really wonky. I was in the elevator one day and it like jumped 3 feet. not really safe. The garage door stopped working, and every time I went to pull my car in, I would bottom out. That's when the garage door was working. Otherwise, it wasn't working, and then I had to pay to park on the street, and then, like, what's the point, right? That apartment was a great starter apartment for me in LA, but I reached a point in my journey where I was like, that's old news. Where I live is a result of who I was 3 years ago, not as a result of who I am today. Now, if you're looking at this logically, at the time, so my roommate had moved out, the apartment was completely mine, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I started Airbnb-ing the second bedroom and the second bathroom, and I was making bank. Most months, my rent was only $300 a month, which was incredible. Logically, it makes sense to stay in a place where you're only paying $300 a month in rent. Spiritually and emotionally, it was costing me way more than $300 a month in rent. So I reached this kind of come to Jesus moment where it was like, I'm either going to continue dwelling in who I've been, or I'm going to start moving more towards who I'm becoming and who I truly believe myself to be. So I just started randomly, not even really looking, but if something came across my path, I would go, and I was expanding into the energy of trying on what it would be like to live in a different apartment. Toured a few apartments downtown. I really wanted to be in that area. There was one day that it was my intern's first day in downtown LA. We're in the office, and there is this apartment that comes up available that's like 2 blocks away. And I say to her, I was like, hey, want to go on a little adventure? Let's go tour this new apartment. I toured it. It was a second-story apartment. The ceilings were very low. The windows were very narrow. It was like not the vibe that I was looking for at all. And I said, well, not really the vibe, but like, thank you so much. Do you have anything else available? And she said, well, not under 2,000 a month. And I said, well, what do you got? Is it like 2,800 a month or is it like 2,100 a month? It was like 2,200 a month. So I said, well, let's just go look at it. This ended up being my dream apartment. Natural light, beautiful, high ceilings, Bluetooth speakers, like just this beautifully amazing apartment. Now, again, logically, if I was operating as my past self who was concerned about funds and scared about being able to create this kind of money in her business and all of those things, like logically making the leap from 300 a month to 2,300 a month doesn't make sense. But there's also something that happens when you start to make decisions aligned with your future. You also start to get results aligned with your future. I walked out and I said, let me think about it. And I get to the coffee shop and I'm texting with my best friend and she said, is it your home? And I said, it is my home. She goes, turn your ass back around and go put a fucking deposit on it. In that moment, I had to make a decision aligned with my future self. I had to trust that I had within me what it took to be able to create that new reality for myself. Because if I kept living in my past reality and kept saying things like, I can't afford it and it doesn't make sense, and all of those things, those are decisions that are aligned with who I was, not who I'm becoming or who I am. So in that moment, I had to make a decision to step into the future. Now, this can be very scary. There can be lots of things that go on mindset-wise, emotionally-wise, energetically-wise, but I will say I was able to step into that reality. And literally the next month, I did another $50,000 in sales. I was able to upgrade my car very shortly thereafter. I consistently stayed at 5-figure months thereafter. That apartment is where I feel like I grew into and became the true, powerful creator of wealth and realities that I know myself to be. If you are looking at a circumstance and a situation, how do we start making decisions aligned with our futures rather than aligned with our past?
Are you an entrepreneur with a bigger vision for your business but no clear path to build it? You need strategy, accountability, and community to transform the business you have into the entrepreneurial legacy you dream of. No more overworking for mediocre results. No more confusion about achieving your massive dreams. No more doubting your audacious goals. The Foundry is your opportunity to say yes to the big goals within you and build them with ease and alignment. Apply now to become one of just 10 entrepreneurs in this exclusive mastermind. Visit breeseely.com/mastermind And don't wait. Your legacy starts today.
If you are looking at a circumstance in a situation, how do we start making decisions aligned with our futures rather than aligned with our pasts? First of all, you gotta be really self-aware. You have to be so self-aware to know that when a thought comes up, where that thought is coming from. Is that thought coming from who you've been, or is that thought coming from who you're becoming? I'm gonna say this is not the right decision for everyone at every moment at every time. And if you can start making just one small decision differently today, and one small decision differently tomorrow, and one small decision differently after that, you're literally compounding these small decisions based on your future that are then going to be the steps you take to walk into that reality. Living in that apartment in LA is 100% what prepared me to be able to hold the capacity to move to New York City. I almost see it as like when I make decisions from my future, I'm forcing my hand. When I have a $2,300 rent payment, I cannot show up as the person that has the $300 a month rent payment. The decisions those two people make are very different. The actions those two people take are very different. I like to personally change my external reality to then push myself or catapult myself into becoming that person who has that thing rather than staying as the person who has played small or compromised for what she really truly wants or lives in a place that's not safe, both health-wise and elevator-wise and like when you get really fucking clear about who you're becoming and you get really fucking clear on what you're moving towards, you cannot make decisions aligned with your past. I'm gonna give you one other quick example of this of a woman who was at Success Becomes Me just a few weeks ago. She was in the room and she said to me, I've been offering this particular service and I don't want to do it anymore, but it's my current bread and butter. It is what makes me all of my money in my business and I fucking hate it. What do I do? I was like, well, you either rip the ejection cord and you get the fuck out of there, or you just start making one decision now and one decision next and one decision next, compounding to get yourself out of that. It's either going to be a cut the cord or it's going to be a gradual transition. I said, you have to decide what's best for you and you need to sit with what those next best steps are. At the end of the conference, everyone was saying goodbye and everything, and someone stood up and said, can we just witness what happened for this woman today? I was like, yeah, what happened for this woman today? And she stood up and she's like, I have her permission to share this. She sat through the rest of the conference and fired every single one of her clients. She knew that if she held on to those clients, she was going to continue creating the reality that she's been living in. But if she wanted to catapult herself into this new reality, she had to make some changes. And so she sat in the conference and she emailed and fired every single one of her clients. So the decisions that she's going to be forced to make are moving towards that pathway that she wants to be on. She wants to be more in the education space than the execution space. Every single decision she makes moving forward is going to be aligned with that education space mentality rather than that execution space mentality. Do you see where the difference is in making a decision based on your present and your past versus making a decision for your future? I'm really excited to hear how this aligns with you and what kind of decisions you're going to be making differently moving forward so that your big goal energy can come to life, because it is inevitable, my friend. Please make sure to comment wherever you are listening or watching this episode. If you're on YouTube, please leave a comment. Give us a thumbs up. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please make sure to leave a rating or review. You're also welcome to reach out to my team on Instagram. They forward messages to me that I need to see. If you have an additional question about this episode, if you want it made into a podcast, you can find us at Big Goal Energy. Now, you can also find me at Bree Seely. And again, I'm on TikTok at Bree Seely as well. Thank you all so much for joining me for today's episode. Make sure you're subscribed. So many more great episodes coming up. We will see you soon.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Big Goal Energy. We trust that it fueled your ambition and made you feel seen. We are a community of ambitious female entrepreneurs like you. Come join us in the Big Goal Energy community by visiting breeseely.com/community. In the meantime, send your questions for us to cover in the episodes to info@breeseely.com. Together, we'll turn your audacious dreams into remarkable achievements. Cheers to defying reality. See you on the next episode.